Alrighty, so this is Sexy America. Why don't you guys start off by introducing yourselves?
I'm John, I'm a psych major, I'm in my 4th year at Stony Brook.
I'm Sam, and I'm a fine arts major.
Joe, I'm a mechanical engineering major.
Nice. Alright, so we're here to discuss the topic of sexuality in American media. To start us off, I just flash back a bit to early days of America, 1630. There was a speech by a Puritan named John Winthrop called the Model of Christian Charity. And used a term called City Upon a Hill, derived from the Jesus Christ Sermon on the Mount. Basically said that he wants America, or what would eventually become America, their settlements, to act as a city upon a hill, to be an example for the rest of the world, to instill good old Christian values in everyone. That was basically the foundation upon which what would eventually become America was built. Then you flash forward to 20th century, America's in full swing. 1930, they started something called the Motion Picture Production Code for film. Basically a censorship committee. They made rules, pretty standard stuff, no sex, they couldn't mention homosexuality. Just flash forward to, say, 2008, with the Zack and Miri make a porno.
Nothing else happened there,
Now we're getting into our common knowledge.
Yes.
There we go.
Obviously, they had trouble getting an R rating for that movie. The MPAA kept trying to slap an NC-17 on it, which is basically box office poison. People were like, oh, I don't want to go see that. So Seth Rogen actually made an interesting comment saying, they're really against sex, yet they let movies like Hostel and Saw, films about bodily mutilation and murder, that's A-okay, but sex, that's bad. I'm sure we're all familiar with Game of Thrones, or at least heard of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the author of those books actually has a really interesting quote about just the books, not the show. He said that it's uniquely American prudishness. You can write the most detailed, vivid description of an axe entering a skull, and nobody will say a word in protest. But if you write a similarly detailed description of a penis entering a vagina, you will get letters from people saying they'll never read you again. What the hell? Penises entering vaginas brings a lot more joy to the world than axes entering skulls.
Very true.
Any comments on that?
I concur.
You concur?
Very true. And we all work at a movie theater. I mean, when was the last time you guys saw an NC-17 movie?
Never.
Right.
I don't
Or
think
someone with the balls to buy a ticket to an NC-17 movie.
Hey, but you get all these kids wanting to see the R-rated movies.
Well, yeah, because I think there's a stigma against feeling the shame of going to these weird movies, but also, when you're younger, that's also the allure of going to see them to feel like you're an adult.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I guess we could all agree that there is still very much a present prudishness in regards to sexuality in American culture.
Yeah, definitely.
Obviously.
The old Christian values have permeated our culture even still today. All right, so
Maybe somewhat more lax, but they're definitely still there.
yeah. All right, there's also a book I read a bit about online called Sex Sells by Roger Streitmatter. I'm sorry. And he basically said that the development of American culture has been an arc of repression to obsession. We just covered the repression aspect, and now you can see in American media, there's a lot, while there's not so much actual sex, there's highly sexualized content in our media. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree with that. And I think the more taboo they make certain aspects of the human body, the more sought after they are. Like in the Victorian era, they weren't allowed to show their ankles. So couches and pianos had to have skirts on them because people would go crazy if they saw anything resembling an ankle.
Alright, so this one is from a movie called Don John. Has anyone seen it before? Alright, cool. Good
Seen
man,
pieces
John.
of it. That's not sexist.
So thoughts?
Eating a burger like that will not get you that body.
Exactly.
It's false.
Is it a racy commercial?
I think that commercial's actually, if I remember correctly, it used to be on TV a lot, and then the Hardee's guys used to make commercials like that all the time, and now the commercial for the same codfish sandwich or whatever is a lot more toned down. So I guess somebody got really angry at them.
Yeah, they had. I looked online. They have like a whole line of these. Like there was one with Paris.
Oh, they're so disgusting.
There's my ideas on it. No, I just think that to suggest sex so heavily in something not even related to sex, it's a burger.
Yeah.
That's a codfish sandwich.
But if you
True.
eat that, but if you eat the sandwich, you
that
can get
point.
the girl.
True.
I'd buy the sandwich for that. No, I'm just saying, like, women are constantly objectified. That's true, and I think that they're definitely pawns in advertising, and I think that Photoshop really takes
Yeah.
a huge role in that, and I think there's no, like, so much pressure for plastic surgery and everything like that, just to have this idea of, like, just, like, even this highly sexualized content, but even in video games. I'm going to connect the dots in a second, but there's, like, this projected image that women have of, like, you know, you have to have, like, huge tits and, like, a tight ass and, like, a non-existent waist, but small shoulders at the same time. And then you see that in advertising, you see that in commercials, you see that in posters, you see that in video games made by men. You see that in, like, even just, like, food commercials. Like, it's just this...
Like the Hardee's one.
Exactly, like, this unbelievably high standard, sexual standard, not to mention just held for women, that's just not... It's not feasible.
Alright, so thoughts?
I don't even think they're being discreet about it anymore. Like, certain camera angles, it's like...
They're pretty
it's
much
just
being...
an ass. Like, it's just a girl's ass.
I mean, there's a string there. I mean, that's
no,
gotta
I know,
have
but, like,
something.
there's not even, like, shoulder, there's not even, like, other body, it's just, like, in your face, and I
Who
think...
wants to see a shoulder?
Yeah, right? I know. Put a nipple on it, then people want to see shoulder.
That would be so.
I'd pay to see that.
A little sensitive on the topic.
But the thing is, so true, I feel like we're so desensitized, like, we could watch a video where, like, it's, like, the sexiest women, and we're like, what is he holding? You know? Like, we could be like, oh, what's he drinking? Even though there's, like, boobs everywhere, because you're just so used to seeing boobs
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah,
Like,
true.
we wouldn't really notice. We'd just be like, oh, hey, that's a product.
Oh god, the band's doing this commercial.
Should we watch that or Robin Thicke's Blurred Lines?
I've seen the Blurred Lines many times. I want to see the Skittles commercial.
Alright, this is a Skittles commercial. I'm not quite sure when it was released.
What the fuck?
Get it? He had.
I
This,
do,
he had
but
Skittles and he only
what
has
the-
these pieces.
Oh my god, that's so weird.
I mean, it's hard to tell the two apart.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes you got them in bed.
Did the people making that commercial ever think in their wildest dreams that that would actually air?
You know
It
what?
looks like a
but
gag.
at least they were married.
Sure!
Production code allows it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's hysterical, but I don't think there was any possibility that would ever air.
I mean, did it air?
I'm not
Like,
sure.
once?
I think it was banned, but
Did it at least air like once on TV though?
I don't know. It doesn't say on the thing. Any other thoughts on it?
I kind of want Skittles.
Oh no, I'm nauseous.
I mean, if that's a commercial, it really shows, you know,
Yeah,
how far society's gone.
I mean, I guess they've always implied it would taste the rainbow, but now...
I think it's just because it's so graphic.
Yeah.
Even though there's no nudity in it, like, the suggestion is so much.
Or not even
And
that
it's, like,
it's...
suggestion of certain things.
Or not even that, just like usually it's at least a little bit implied, they're a little more subtle with it. That was so hit you over the head blunt.
Yeah.
The
And then you got the shot of, like, his underwear around his ankles, like...
Yeah.
But again, they didn't show anything.
They didn't have to.
even the women in the music
I mean-
video looked like uncomfortable with what was going on.
That, like, let's just point out the fact that in the lyrics it says you're more than plastic, and they're all wrapped in see-through plastic,
Yeah.
completely objectifying them.
Exactly.
And they don't have mannerisms besides, like, pursed lips and, like, shaking whatever jiggles on them. Which
Or the
really is only ass and boobs, because they're you know, genetically engineered, but whatever.
Or the or the weird rape culture in the lyrics, like you don't want to get
Yes.
hurt, come have sex with me. I'm going to drug you. I'm going to give you this really. I'm going to like tear your ass up. Like it's just really. It's kind of appalling because if you talk about this stuff in a normal conversation, people would look at you and be like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" But if you say it in like a more subtle way, you can put a fancy little beat behind it. It wins a Grammy somehow.
And I love how like every time they had like the girl that was like half, well, they were all half naked, but the girl with just like the
girl's really half naked.
They had like the Rob or the thick across the screen, so like you had to like look behind it to see it.
Yeah.
Or the fact that they're like being like incredibly sexual and like impure, I guess, but they're in all white. And the lyrics are "You're such a good girl," and she's like shimmying half naked. It's like, oh.
I wonder how uncomfortable they all look in the version where they're all just completely naked. Like, I kind of want to see how.
There's a version.
Yeah.
No, their faces are the same. I've seen.
Okay, I was
same.
gonna say. I wonder how uncomfortable they would be in that one. Like, oh god, I like the last one was bad, but I really don't want to be in this one.
I'm just going to circle back to Don John. Joseph Gordon-Levitt actually had a quote that I feel pertains to what I just showed you pretty accurately. It was in an interview. He said, "I think that there's not a substantial difference between a lot of mainstream culture and pornography. They're equally simplistic reductionists, whether it's rated X or approved by the FCC for general viewing audiences. The message is the same. We have a tendency in our culture to take people, and treat them like things."
For sure, I mean that music video pretty much shows it perfectly. Like.
And even that, pornography in a certain way might just be a little better because at least it's kind of bluntly honest with it.
Up forward, like
yeah, like
forward.
Both people are consensual. They agree to this type of thing. You want to view this. You want to view this in a certain way. We're not going to blame you. This is what it's made for. This is meant to be taken many different ways, and then they very, very subtly throw in like, "Oh, she's just a piece of meat. She's there for you to be used," so that you think that way without even noticing you're thinking that way.
Where there's 3 men and 3 women in that music video. The women are barely wearing anything for the majority of it, and the men are wearing suits. Yeah.
Yeah,
like multiple layered suits.
And the men are constantly like hovering over them, showing like their power.
Yeah, he pulls her hair to whisper in her ear at that one part. Like, if that's not suggestive and sadistic in some sense, I don't know what is. Just.
Well, thank you, everyone. And this is Sexy America again. Good night.